Hi, welcome to ART142. This is Intro to Digital Photography at Phoenix College, and this is going to be a very exciting semester. After dealing with a lot of online classes, you are sure ready for another one. Just because this is an online class doesn't mean we're not going to go through the syllabus, so don't fast forward. There's some really key things I do want to point out. In the syllabus, we'll do a lecture, not a lecture, but sort of an intro, and we'll talk a little bit about the things I talk about in my PDF. A little bit about me: I'm your professor, Samantha Lynn Austin, MFA. You can call me Professor Austin. You can say Professor A, Sam, Samantha. It's all fine for me. I use she, her pronouns. And in addition to being a professor at Phoenix College, I'm also a media coordinator at Fox Corporation. So for you to watch your Bob's Burgers, Masked Singer, 24 Hours to Hell and Back on Hulu, or to buy it on Amazon, I'm responsible for that. So I'm definitely in charge of your entertainment. And I'll talk a little bit about my career in reference to how we do things, because it's sort of a different way within using my creative skills, but also it's sort of informing the way I teach. So I will bring it up from time to time. So let's get started with the syllabus. So if you didn't know, this class is online, completely online, asynchronous. You don't have to log in at certain points to work with everybody as a group. There may be extra credit where there might be group conversations on like a Google Meets or Zoom or whatever else we may use. So you may have that time to interact, but this is an online course. Samantha Lynn Austin, MFA again. I have my Master's in Fine Art and Intermedia from Arizona State University. My contact is my email, or you can contact me through Canvas Messenger. There's the Canvas app you can download on your phone, and I recommend doing that. It's great. I get the messages instantly. It's almost like a text message, so if you want to get a hold of me really quickly, use that Canvas Messenger. But I will probably stick around 48 hours to respond at most, but it's supposedly going to be a lot quicker. If you have a subject title, try to indicate what class you're in your name. This is really helpful if you're sending me an email, because I teach 2 courses here at Phoenix College, and my Phoenix College email gets full very quickly. Don't try to post questions in the comment section when you turn in assignments, or try to respond back to your grade in the comments when you receive a grade on your assignment. Very difficult for me to access this and to find that, so that communication will likely not get answered. So if you want to respond to me, send me an email or Canvas Messenger. You can respond back to a grade comment, but if you write a comment in your assignment page when you turn in an assignment, I will not get to it. When you do email me, I'm not your friend. It's not a text. You can actually practice proper netiquette, which is sort of how to ask an email correctly. Like, you introduce salutation, who you are, what class you're in, quick question, and a thank you. You don't have to put your student ID though. There's not a required textbook, but a recommended textbook. Talk about that later. We'll talk a little bit about the course materials, just no camera phones. And again, I'm just going to skim through it. You should read all of this. There will be like a syllabus quiz, so you should read it. There are a few quizzes in the course. Quizzes are open note and only open during the weekly module, but there's a time limit and you can only open them once. So make sure you have good solid internet. I would keep your notes in front of you instead of just like searching a bunch of different web pages. Like make notes. Make yourself a cheat sheet for a quiz and then use that to help you with the quiz. You can redo assignments. Late work is accepted for some assignments, not every assignment. Quizzes, critiques, and class discussions will not have late work, but if you want to do exercises or photography projects, those will have late work accepted. And you can read the policy, assignment submission and format. So you have to use Google Drive. Your Maricopa email comes with a free Google Drive account and it's unlimited space. We'll do a demo on how to share files. So if you're a little nervous, we will do this. You're going to make a folder for each assignment or exercise. You want to be very organized. This is going to be good practice for if you go into any career. You want to be organized with your files. Nest them together. And you can only submit files to your Google Drive account, not your personal one. So if you send it to like your personal Gmail, I will not respond to it. Cannot accept it. It has to be through your Maricopa Google Drive account. And I would actually get in a habit of checking your Maricopa email quite often, at least once a day. We'll talk a little bit of how to share the files. It's a little complicated, but if you don't share them correctly in the correct manner, you get a 0 for the assignment, and I will not accept regrade or resubmission or late points for it. This is something really important. Let's say I send Hulu the wrong episode of Bob's Burgers. My job will be on the line, but there's no Bob's Burgers, and it won't get submitted in time, and I don't have the opportunity to go back in time and change my email link. So this is something you really want to practice doing correctly. Your images need to have readable EXIF data. We'll talk more about EXIF data. If you're curious, there's a link in the syllabus. The course content, so we're talking about the basics of digital photography. There's going to be readings, video responses, discussion boards, lots of discussion boards. We're going to build our community. We're going to have some demos. Assignments are going to be both technical and creative. So definitely get your creative juices going. So we're going to learn about contemporary photographers, sequencing, digital output, so many different things about digital photography. If you're taking my darkroom class, some of the stuff will overlap, but it will be different. So keep that in mind if you're in both the darkroom and this course, or if you take my darkroom course in the future. I'm just scrolling through. So the attendance policy, there's not like a typical roll call that we do, but you should at least sign into the course at least once a week. If you're not active in the course within 14 days, you will be dropped from the course. So to be academically active, you need to submit assignments, take quizzes, do participation in discussion boards, or even emailing me about asking academically about the course. So keep that in mind. So simply logging into the class won't count. You have to actually do something. This is a 3 credit hour course. So keep in mind if you're in a classroom, you're going to spend about 3 hours of course content, probably directly in Canvas a week, and then 6 hours of homework weekly. So don't just think, oh, I can just slack off in this class. There's going to be like a lot of time where you're going to have to be working on homework, which is like taking photos, which is the coolest homework ever, or doing discussion boards, readings, watching YouTubes. which will be more direct instruction. So keep in mind, you may want to work on a schedule on when you're going to work on these assignments for this course. All right, so additional course statements. You're going to use Canvas for the duration of the course. You're going to check Canvas announcements or emails. I will email you guys through Canvas any information regarding the course. Again, you're using Google Drive to submit assignments. If you fail to share it correctly, you will get a 0. So we're going to center course design on Adobe Photoshop. And I'm going to talk about Photoshop a little bit more in depth. But I do want to say I can try to help troubleshoot some Adobe issues. But if they're like software based, contact Adobe themselves. There's a couple things you'll be using: Canvas, Google Drive, Adobe, Behance, Cooler, any sort of things like that. You may have to use your email to use free resources on the internet. So keep that in mind. Before we jump into my little PDF, I do want to show you just a preview of the calendar. This is not the official calendar, obviously. This is one I'm working on, but you can see that calendar will start midnight Arizona time on Monday. So the modules open every Monday at midnight. Your assignments are due Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. Arizona time. So that's not the next day. You have 8 days to turn in your assignment. But as you can see, it's sort of broken out per date, sort of reflecting the modules. Canvas is going to be the most accurate version of this, but you can keep this sort of as a reminder of what we're going through each week and plan things out, especially if you're going out of town for something. Keep that in mind. All right, so Intro Digital Photography. So this is sort of the course notes and course competencies of the course. We've talked about the communication policy. Again, you'll use your Canvas, your Maricopa email only. Or message me through Canvas. You can do it through a website or a Canvas Messenger app. And make sure to practice netiquette. The book is Photography 12th edition. This is a recommended textbook. It's not required. If you want to download it, it's available at the bookstore or Amazon for like an ebook. I do post some additional readings within the course. So if you want some more backup information, this is really helpful. It's a good book. Camera requirements. So I didn't touch on this. So your camera must have 8 megapixels or higher. Most cameras are going to be way higher than that nowadays. So keep that in mind. You need to have manual aperture and manual shutter controls. A DSLR or mirrorless are preferred, but are not required. So you can find a point and shoot camera, which isn't necessarily like that, this sort of big with the lenses that interchange, that you can change the aperture and shutter. No cell phones. So your cell phone may be meeting these requirements, but I will not accept a cell phone. This is not an iPhone photography course or a phone photography course. You learn actual photography with a camera, not just your phone. And yes, phones take beautiful pictures, but I'm not going to deal with that. If you don't have access to one, depending on your budget, you might be able to afford to purchase a digital camera. Now, if you don't have a digital camera and you're not going to be able to purchase one, this course may not be for you. If you don't have a camera, speak with me. I don't have any I can lend out. So if you don't have a camera, you may have to wait until another semester to take this course. I just searched digital cameras on Amazon, and a lot of them are packages. Most cameras are good, so I get a lot of emails saying, what do you recommend? the camera you have is what I recommend. I use Canon, but I'm going to be shifting to Sony eventually. I like Sony a lot, but I also like Canon. But Pentax is great, Nikon, Olympus. DSLRs are great. Mirrorless or point and shoots like this are really great too. They're not as heavy. If it has the MSAP in this not dialogue, but this thing you can change. The M stands for manual, so it should be good. You'll be using that M for shooting. Point and shoots sometimes are cheaper. You can do refurbished. You can buy locally from like Photo Forum, or you can use Amazon or Target. But make sure you get it and you're not waiting forever for your camera. Not required, but I do recommend getting a hard drive that's portable or a flash drive, especially if you're working from campus and home, just to carry your files with you, and it's something that's a little bit more secure than using your computer. If you have questions about hard drives, I'm more than happy to answer them. You can also store everything on your Google Drive because your Google Drive is unlimited. We'll talk more about Google Drive, but it's good to maybe get familiar with your Google Drive account with Maricopa just to see, your storage in the cloud. We'll be using Adobe Photoshop. I will do a segue. So campus does have Adobe Photoshop for you to use, and because of COVID, Adobe did give out student licenses out for Creative Cloud. It is highly unlikely they're going to do that again. It would be great if they did, but they're not going to, in my opinion. So the student, so we can just hide this. The student account is $20 a month. That's the whole Creative Suite for a year, and then after that year it bumps up to $30 a month. I pay $30 a month. I use Adobe every day, so I definitely recommend it if you can afford it. Especially since the standard plan is like $53 a month. You can get everything for $20 and then $30 a month after, and as long as you have an EDU email, you're good. If you're only interested in photography, they do have a photography plan. Not the Lightroom plan, the photography plan for $10 a month. You get Lightroom, desktop and mobile, Lightroom Classic. We'll talk more about the different Lightrooms. Photoshop, and I guess you get some cloud storage, which is nice, and your own portfolio. But this could be something, it's only $10 a month and you can cancel it after. The student teachers plan is for all apps only. So for an extra $10 you get everything, but if you're not going to use Illustrator or any of the other programs, it may not be worth it at this time. We also have an option to use GIMP, which is sort of a free Photoshop. I am not 100% familiar with it. I will not be doing demos on it. But some people already have it, they're familiar with it. It might be worth checking out. I don't have any background information on it, so just to let you know. But you're more than welcome to use it. You can save your files as PSDs when you submit them, but you can use GIMP. I just can't answer questions on it. One more thing about Photoshop is if you have a Chromebook, Photoshop doesn't really work on Chromebooks. And I'm not, it kind of works on the iPad. I haven't downloaded it. I'll download it on my iPad. I'll figure it out on my iPad, but I can't answer questions with it on the iPad. You can have layers. You can work with Lightroom on the iPad. It's just a little different. So that might be something you look into if you have an iPad and you're using your iPad for the course. The campus library has access to Adobe, and maybe the extra lab will be open. In addition to Lightroom, we have Darktable, which I am going to try to learn. But it's like a free Lightroom. So this is like a dupe for Photoshop, and this is a dupe for Lightroom. The Lightroom and Photoshop are our main programs. These are sort of some options. Calendar. So we kind of looked at the course calendar as like a preview. Put all of our assignments in like your phone calendar and give yourself reminders. Future you will thank you, because then you'll get reminders like, oh, I have an assignment due next week. Make plans to shoot, like, hey, I don't work Thursday. I'm going to shoot my photography assignment on Thursday and Friday. So we'll talk a little bit about color later on in the semester. If you have money to spend, a data spider or a color monkey, which are these little hardwares that you place on top of your monitor, which helps you color calibrate your screen. There is a free version called Calibrize, which is linked, which is sort of a way for you to get to true colors on your computer screen. If you've ever posted a picture on your Instagram and said, wow, that looks really good on my phone, but doesn't look great on my Instagram, and looks awful on my desktop. We'll talk more about how light affects it. This is an example of a photography website that I like to look at. Always be looking at art, be inspired constantly. Something to always look at art. You can find a lot of artists on Instagram. And one more thing before we close out this introduction, which is very long, I do apologize, is there's a lot of discussion boards. If you participate in the discussion boards, and there's really no right or wrong answers, just as long as you respond well, you get points. If you don't do discussion boards, you may fail the course. You may do great in everything else, but if you don't do discussion boards, you're going to lose a lot of points. It's reading some articles, watching a few YouTubes, answering some questions to help you think critically about art and photography. So definitely do your discussion boards. The first one is a fun one. It's introducing yourself. So make sure you do your discussion boards, as I've learned in the past few semesters of teaching this course online. So I hope this is a nice introduction. I hope you're excited for the course. It's a lot of content, a lot of stuff we have to cover. So keep organized, keep on your schedule, and participate in your discussion boards, and let's make some photography.